What happens when two teams try to solve their problems by swapping them with each other? When does a trade proposal become less about acquiring talent and more about just getting rid of a headache? Welcome back, folks. It's Thursday, February 6th, 2026, and we got a trade rumor that's the definition of trying to salvage whatever you can. Patrik Laine's season in Montreal has been, to be generous, a disaster. He hasn't played since October. He appeared in 5 games. He had 1 assist, and he costs $8.7 million. But analyst Nick Kypreos suggests there might still be an exit strategy. The idea? Send Laine to the Edmonton Oilers. In return, we'd receive Andrew Mangiapane, another player who's struggling to find his game. Just 12 points in 49 games. In this video, we're going to analyze whether this trade of problems makes sense. For Montreal, it would be a chance to get rid of the Laine soap opera and bring in a player who at least gets on the ice. For Edmonton, it would be betting that Laine, if he gets healthy, could be the secret weapon on the power play alongside McDavid. But the money complicates everything. Let's see why the salary cap might kill this deal before it even starts, and why, in the end, it might be better to just wait for Laine's contract to expire and say goodbye. Let's be realistic. The bet on Laine hasn't paid off this season. The text says, Laine, who is 27 years old, hasn't played since October 16th. Unfortunately, he's encountered injury problems again. He's an expiring contract. His value today is purely upside, potential. Kypreos says he'd be a lottery ticket with potential for a playoff team hoping to find a cheap scorer. But cheap only if we retain salary. And he makes $8.7 million. This is the harsh reality of Patrik Laine's situation in Montreal. When we acquired him, the hope was that he'd be the elite goal scorer to play alongside Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. The hope was that he'd provide the finishing touch on a dynamic first line. The hope was that his shot, one of the best in the NHL, would terrorize goaltenders. Instead, we got 5 games and 1 assist before injuries shut him down completely. And now we're stuck with a massive contract for a player who can't stay healthy. And a return? Andrew Mangiapane. He signed with the Oilers in the offseason expecting to explode, playing with McDavid and Draisaitl. Result? 6 goals in 49 games. He didn't fit. The expectation is that he'll be traded before the deadline. Mangiapane would bring energy to our bottom 6, but he's not going to replace the elite talent we dreamed of having with Laine. This would be trading a broken Ferrari for a Honda Civic that runs slowly. Think about what this trade really represents. It's 2 teams admitting failure. Edmonton admitting they made a mistake signing Mangiapane. Montreal admitting the Laine acquisition was a bust. And both teams hoping that a change of scenery fixes the problem. But does it actually solve anything? For Montreal, you're getting rid of $8.7 million in cap space, assuming Edmonton takes the full contract, which they won't. You're bringing in a player who's been just as disappointing in his own way. Yes, Mangiapane is healthy and playing, which is more than you can say for Laine. But is that enough? The article kills the suspense at the end. Money is among the reasons why this trade won't happen. Even if Montreal retains 50%, the maximum allowed, Laine would cost $4.35 million against Edmonton's cap. The Oilers are tight against the cap. They need a right-handed defenseman and a top 6 forward who actually plays. Betting $4 million on a guy who hasn't played since October is too risky for a contender. Plus, Laine needs power play time to produce. And Edmonton's first power play unit already has owners: McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins. Laine wouldn't have space. He'd be relegated to the second unit, which defeats the entire purpose of acquiring him. This is the fundamental problem with this trade proposal. The fit doesn't make sense. The money doesn't work. And neither team is actually solving their problem. They're just trading one problem for another. For Montreal, the reality is probably this. We're going to have to swallow Laine's contract until the end of the season and let him walk as a free agent. It's a shame because the talent is there. When healthy, Laine is one of the most dangerous goal scorers in the NHL. But health, that's never cooperated. This is the cruel reality of professional sports. Sometimes acquisitions don't work out. Sometimes injuries derail everything. Sometimes a player you thought would be a game changer becomes a cap casualty. Kent Hughes took a calculated risk acquiring Laine. It didn't pay off. Now he's stuck managing the fallout. The best case scenario at this point is that Laine gets healthy enough to showcase himself for other teams before the deadline. Maybe someone takes a flyer on him as a rental. Maybe Hughes can recoup a late-round pick. But realistically, we're probably riding this out until July when the contract expires and Laine becomes someone else's problem or opportunity, depending on how you look at it. Here's the bottom line. Habs fans, the Mangiapane for Laine trade is interesting on paper as a hockey trade, but in practice it's difficult. The money doesn't work. The fit doesn't make sense. And neither team is actually improving by making this swap. We're probably going to have to accept that the Laine experiment failed and move on. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. But it's the reality of the situation. What do you think, folks? Would you trade Patrik Laine for Andrew Mangiapane straight up if the money worked? Is there any scenario where Laine gets healthy and contributes this season, or is the dream dead? Should Kent Hughes try to move Laine for any asset he can get, or just let the contract expire? How disappointed are you with how the Laine acquisition turned out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and smash that like button, because even though this trade probably won't happen, it's a reminder of the harsh realities of managing a salary cap in professional hockey. And we're going to continue covering every development as the Canadiens navigate this challenging situation.